name is Chris Hummel, and I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of Siemens Enterprise Communications. Some of you have probably seen a new marketing campaign, business initiative that we've launched into the market called Amplify Teams. And Amplify Teams is really about trying to find ways to amplify collective effort of all the individuals who work together to drive more dramatic business performance improvement. Now, well, the world has kind of changed. The way teams work together, mobility, social, all the different elements of virtualized teams and collaboration, all that. Really, now the focus has to be on the individual. It has to be on the person. Because people now have their own ecosystem of communication services around them.
Let me tell you another story about how social can amplify great ideas. A customer service rep in a small town miles from head office shared an idea to transfer a paper-based process to online. And this eliminated the need for customers to have to come into the branch to get their signatures validated. The idea was supported by hundreds of employees across the country. And before you knew it, the idea was on the radar of the senior executives. It's now being implemented, and it's creating a much better customer experience. And by the way, it is expected to drive the single biggest productivity gain in the retail bank in the coming year. The idea wasn't revolutionary. It had come up before, but until social amplified it, there just was no business case. And this is just one of the examples we anticipate by embedding social in our business processes.
Is we need to work out loud. We can't stay anymore with this silo of waiting until something is perfect before we get it out and release it out to folks to see. Don't be afraid to embarrass yourself. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And so as we go through here, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how we started doing that. So the first thing we did was some planning out loud. And I don't know if you guys have heard this, but we, over the last year, have deployed over 40,000 iPhone devices to our store associates. Before we rolled a single one out, we started telling them about the plans, telling them what we were going to be doing, and asking for feedback and ideas. We had thousands of responses. We had tons of ideas that came out and actually have been able to add new features to the iPhone before it even hit the stores. The next example that we had, which is I think just as great, was testing out loud. We actually are rolling out a new portal and trying to change the workspace that we have for all of our employees. But in the days of old, we would sit in a room and we would build the thing out and we would test it and test it and test it, and then one day we'd just say, wham, here's your new workspace. And people would, get surprised by it, or else we'd send a communication the day before. So this time, we actually created the mock-ups, posted the mock-ups out on Connections, got some interested users, got them looking at the mock-ups and giving us feedback, found a couple of bugs in it, and were able to make a lot of improvements to it before we actually ever rolled it out to the stores. And the greatest thing was, once we rolled it out, they were already used to it. So the adoption levels are higher because they already know what the system looks like and what it's supposed to do. And finally, we have deploying out loud. And so I don't know if you guys have heard of an initiative that we did recently called Milos. If you haven't heard of it, I definitely suggest that you look it up. It's a great new feature on our site. But enough about plugging us. We use Connections to actually provide a support community for the rollout of this new offering to customers, so that our associates, when they had questions or they found best practices on the best way to get customers engaged in this new Milos feature, could